Okay, now we will try to understand what is user control. So existing standard controls like text boxes, buttons, and whatever we have seen, and then whatever exists in WPF. So we can group these controls and we can write some code which is going to have some meaningful functionality into it. So it's going to be, let's say, a currency converter, maybe a graph control, it can be some sort of utility, and then those utilities can be reused a number of times, because what we will be creating is going to be a DLL. So since DLLs don't execute themselves, DLLs needs to be referred. What we will do is we will group these controls, we will write some meaningful code behind it, and then what we'll do is we will try to provide it as a user control. So simply clubbing of existing controls and writing some meaningful functionality out of it is, let's say, we call it as a user control, and we circulate the user controls so that people can use it, people can reuse it whenever they need similar kind of functionality. So what we are going to do now, we are going to create one currency converter wherein we will need to input in one text box some sort of currency in some X format, let's say dollars, and then with a button click we will be converting that currency value into some other currency. So it can be something like rupees into dollars or dollars into pounds. So we can take a call on that, and then it's going to be reusable. It's going to be a DLL that we will construct. So what I'm going to do in the Visual Studio that we have 00 demo. So as of now, we are not interested into 00 demo because it's a EX application. I'm going to right click and unload this project. Now in the existing solution, you can very well take other project and other solution. But then as I said earlier, all my projects will be part of WPF demos solution. So I'm going to add one new project here. That project will be WPF user control. So here is what we can plan. There is something called as WPF user control library in the application templates. We will simply say next. We can give a name here, let's say currency converter or currency converter CC control. And then what we'll do is we'll simply say create it. After we create, what you will receive is a simple XAML page. But see to it, it is not window1.xaml. As you can notice here, it is simply going to be user control1.xaml. We can provide a good name to it, like for example CC. So it's going to be cc.xaml as in page. If I just compile without any code writing, and if I just try to show you the output of this project under bin under debug, you will see there's a cc control.dll file, and then as we know DLLs don't execute. Here it needs to be referred in some other project. In our case, that will be 00 demo. So let's observe what we have here. Just look at the root element that we have. Sometime back the root element was window and then there was grid. Right now it is user control and then there is a grid that we have. So what we wish to do now, we wish to simply have couple of text boxes and one simple button in the UI. So what we'll do in here is I'll take a stack panel one more time. This stack panel, I'll have orientation as horizontal so that we can see all controls aligned from left to right. And in stack panel, what we will do, we will add a label first. So let's make it label. It's just going to be some sort of readable text. We will add some sort of text or content into it. Let's call it as maybe dollar. And then let's have a name here. Let's say DLR or LBL DLR, that is dollar. Close this. Similar way we will have one more label. Let's call it as rupees. You can take any currency that you want. And here we will provide a different name. Let's call it as LBL RS. Then after the label, I need a text box. So let's pick up text box. Let's name it as TXT dollar or DLR. Let's have height. Let's have width. And let's have some content. The content will be all empty. So let's close this. And then after the last label, we will again have one more text box. Let's name it as text rupees or so. Again, we will have height and width given over here. And then we will have a simple button between these two text boxes and labels, which is going to be called as, let's say, BTN convert. So let's call it as BTN convert. And then again, we will have height here added, which is going to be 80 DIP. Width is going to be 200 DIP and some content on top of button, which is, let's call it as convert. And then we can have on click some sort of code added, which is going to be a new event handler in the code behind. Let us see after compilation if we receive any kind of a problem. So as of now, there is no problem. If I just go to code behind, it's very simple. On a button click, let's get the value from the dollar text box. So I'll have here a var, let's say, or double, let's say dollar value equal to, I need the conversion of this value into a double format. So I'll take the value from txt dollar dot text, and then we will have a kind of multiplier. So I will have again a double multiplier here. Let's say I'll call it as some sort of token. And then this multiply token value, ideally this should come from some sort of configuration file. As of now, I'm just going to hard code it. And then what we will have is, there will be double rupees that we will have equal to, we will take multiply token, and then we will take the value from dollar value and we will multiply it with multiply token. So we will have the converted value, that is rs value. What do I do with this value? I'll have this txt rs and the text to be set to rs value. So I'll say equal to rs value, and that's it. Again, we needed to string the conversion of rs value into the string format, and that's it. So let's try recompiling this project. Will we be able to run this project? So since the project is already selected, let us try this. I'm just going to run this. Here you will get an exception which will tell you a project with output library cannot be started directly. But I'm already done with the code. So here is what we want to do now. We already have the UI, we already have the code content into the DLL. In case you really wish to see how exactly the design looks like, what you can do is, you can very well see the design here. This is how the design looks like as of now. Okay, there is nothing called as the labels cannot be seen. So let us try to see what we have added as a content in case of labels. So we have added dollar over here as in content. Let me see why it is not visible. And let me put here rupees. If I just try to see the design now, okay, there is rupees here and there is something called as dollar over here. Okay, it's still okay to see the content like this. Now what I want to do is, I really wish to take the height of this particular window a little less. So I'm here in the design itself, I'm just going to manage it and I'm going to make it really small. So this is the control that we have right now. If you look at the XAML, what has happened is the width or the stack panel orientation we changed. There is a margin change that we have, and I believe window size has not changed yet. So what I wish to do is, I really wish to change this particular. Okay, this is going to be design width, so let's keep it as it is. Okay. Anyway, so let's compile this project. Let's go and try to see what we have achieved. So in bin, in debug, there is a DLL that we have. So now that we have created a user control, now we would like to use this user control into other project. So this video was for creating a custom for a user control, and then now that we have created it, let's try to use it in the other project. So that will be in the next session.